This episode is brought to you by the members of the You Run Podcast Network. All of their shows and our own can be found at yourunpodcast.com, along with links to our socials and to our shop. So please head over to yourunpodcast.com today and find your next podcast experience. We are the home of entertainment.
A spirit of comfort. The spirit of any celestial sphere. Anything. Hear my call.
You want to die tonight?
The dad jokes he tells sets the scene. I hang on every word lost in the screen. Your passion for fear is contagious enough. You make me believe in Marc's overblown roundups. You run podcasts for a movie review, unveiling facts and playing games too. Your words paint pictures of darkness and dread, leaving me grinning long after I fled. But
And that's all we could play of that for copyright reasons. My name's Scott, and welcome to the You Run Podcast Horror Movie Review.
My name is Marc. Hello there. That was a weird introduction and threw me off because it wasn't the normal formula.
Yeah, it kind of wasn't. We are an interactive horror movie review show where you pick Robert Eggers movies for us to watch.
3 out of 4, baby.
Oh, man. Robert Eggers as a director, I love him. But man, I'm so done. Like, I've watched nothing but Eggers for an entire month. And
This is the thing, like, as well, with like the show formula as it is and letting the audience pick the movies for us, we had a plethora of fucking art house horror movies. Like, people who listen to this show that don't understand how this works and that the people who listen to the show pick the movies are going to assume that we just think art house is Robert Eggers, and that is clearly not the case. It's just he's won every single poll he's been in for each week.
He has. Next week it's different, but we'll talk about that later. Anyway, you pick the movies here. You do that at yourunpodcast.com. Or no, you don't. You do it at You Run Podcast on Instagram. There's also loads of interactive games and features that you can play across all of social media. Wherever you are, follow at You Run Podcast, and there'll be something for you to get involved with the show. We also have a website. It's yourunpodcast.com. There you'll find links to all of those social medias if you're too lazy to search us. Also links to all of our shows, including our YouTube channel, which has got some really cool episodes on it at the moment, like the best movies of the 1960s. We've got the most anticipated movies of 2025, and we've just released an update on Constantine 2.
Cool.
Which is super exciting. Like, that episode, you would never see me so animated in your life. It's like the best thing ever. So yeah,
I don't know because I haven't seen the episode yet, and I want to ask you so many questions. But again, I also want everybody else to go and watch the episode.
Yeah, we'll talk off air about it.
Yeah.
Of course, while you're there, check out the other fantastic members of the You Run Podcast Network. There's 16 shows there for you to go and enjoy as well. If you're going to Instagram, make sure you follow Marc. He's at Reviews from the Crypt or at VHS from the Crypt. And he's an awesome account, and he's an awesome guy, and he's a really good friend, and you need to go and support him.
Lovely.
Big
man.
enough,
Thank
sir?
you very much. Yeah, I think
Welcome.
so. Share the love, man. Come and love me like Scott does. Too much.
Want to suck your dick.
If you've never listened to the show before, what you just heard is kind of what you're in for. We're going to give you a synopsis of the movie. We're then going to dive into all the stuff we liked and didn't like. We're going to talk about scenes and bits of the movie. It's a very spoiler heavy kind of show. Later on after the review, we've got some games, some interactive features, and some other cool stuff. We'll check our voicemails if we've got any, and check Spotify comments as well. We are in week 3 of Art House Horror Month, and you watched The Walking Dead. I kind of feel like that music's playing. We're on Easy Street. That's kind of where I am. Like, we covered The Lighthouse, which was a listener request from Dave B Movies. It was very slow. We covered The Witch, which I love, and today we're looking at a brand new release.
Yes.
Before we get into the review, make sure you leave us a 5-star review wherever you're listening, so Spotify, Apple, or click like and subscribe on YouTube. Also recommend us to a friend. steal someone's phone, review us there. Like, however we get reviews, I don't care. Just do that. It's a new release today. Like I said, it's deep into the 1830s. As a young estate agent, Thomas Hutter sets out to do a job for his employer, which is go out from Germany to the isolated area of Transylvania in the Carpathian Mountains. Now, while Thomas is away meeting the mysterious Count Orlok, who wants to buy a house in Germany, Ellen, his wife, is left with her friends, Friedrich and Anna Harding, who don't so much care for her, more sedate her. This is because of her horrifying visions that she suffers. I'm going to say it now, schizophrenia. Anyway, these visions are about to get far more dark as the Count arrives in the neighborhood. Thomas rushes back to save her, and we get a fabulous climax with lots of A-list celebrities and lots of beautiful effects. Today, we're looking at a remake of the 1922 rip-off of the 1897 book Dracula, Nosferatu.
Blah, blah, vampire emergency, blah.
I'm going to kick this off. They shot their bolt too early by showing Orlok in the opening scenes of this movie. That shadow behind the curtain, like, why is that the opening scene? I know what I'm going for. Don't show me that early. I literally, as soon as I saw that, I was like, oh, why? Build to be honest with you,
I found the intro, like the cold open before we get the title card Nosferatu, to be very jarring. To me, it was almost like we were starting the movie in the middle of the movie. And again, like, is that a fault of ours due to our prior knowledge of the Nosferatu lore or the movie of Nosferatu, that we're kind of like, well, where is this going? And I do enjoy the implemented addition of the connection between him and Lily Depp's character. I'm going to be honest with you, I'm not going to try and pronounce any character's name in this due to my confusion with Francis Ford Coppola's Dracula and all the rest of it. Like, they're the same. They're all the same. So I'm going to refer to them by actor in this movie so we all know where we are.
In my bullet point notes, I take bullet points. Every bullet point is Mina Harker and Jonathan Harker, every single one. Even though they're not, they're Thomas and Ellen, but they're not. Yeah, in my head,
they're not.
They're Mina and Jonathan, and they always will.
That's exactly what they were to me. And like, when it was coming up and he was signing his name, I was like, dude, that's not your name. Don't sign it like that.
You're not Thomas. Who are you pretending to be?
That is fraud. What are you doing? Yeah. So like, but I lost complete track of where we were then. But I think the opening was a misguided place to start. I think. I don't know, dude. I don't know, because there is so many. How many people do you think have actually watched? Oh, of course it does. Of course it does. It has bearing. But I mean, like, how many people have actually gone into this having seen the original?
Not as many as I think should have. That's where agreed. I'm going with that.
And I would have been one of those people had we not covered it on the show last year. And I'm so thankful that we did, for this reason alone. But like, having seen the original and having known how the relationship between Count Orlok and Mina Harker, or whatever you want to call her, how their relationship develops in comparison to this movie, which is wildly different. Yeah. Although following the same plot points and beat for beat, it is still different. The decision to open this in such a jarring way threw me for such a loop straight away. I was like, things aren't adding up already. Like if you're going to remake a movie, I get it, and you want to be different, but you have to ease existing fans in. You can't just go straight out of the gate with a completely different lore to start with.
Yeah. But the thing is, like, they threw me for a loop at the beginning, and then after this opening, cold open, Nosferatu in the curtains, him having a bit of a kiss and a bite and a cuddle with her, like, after that, everything from there was beat for beat what I expected it to be. It was just that one tweak and that one change. And I'll be honest, like, visually, it's an Eggers movie. We've spoken about it all month. It is as good as you will get a movie directed. Visually, sound design, everything. It is beautiful. to
You
look
know
at.
how much I gushed over the Lighthouse, man. I think this is better. I think this is his best work in terms
Yeah, I
of
mean,
direction and
did you?
cinematography. This is beautiful.
Yeah, and like even down to the point that like the original Nosferatu, those of you who don't know, there's only sort of various different cuts of that, and they're all in different like color hues where they've been restored. So some are like oranges, and some are blues, and some are greens. And like when you look at some of the shots in this, there was a scene where someone's holding a lamp, and like the whole screen went like this orange sepia kind of color, and I was like, oh man, that's so cool. And then like
Yeah.
2 minutes later, it does exactly the same and just like washes everything in blue. I'm like, you are someone who studied a 103-year-old movie to make sure that you could just give it just enough that people who have seen it would go, oh, okay, that's cool. I like that. Well done, you.
He does, and at the same time, like you have to applaud him for the same appreciation for other movies that fall into this category, like Francis Ford Coppola's Dracula.
Yeah.
That is, he's taking everything from that movie and implementing it into Nosferatu lore. There are scenes in that are direct rips from that. I mean, one of the most enjoyable ones for me was the Bella Lugosi Dracula that we also covered, the 1940s one, way back when. Did we cover that? No, we didn't. No,
No,
we didn't. I
no,
reviewed it on my
yeah.
page, and we spoke about it quite a lot off
Z-
air.
you reviewed it, and the same week you reviewed it, I covered it on remakes with Angel from Voices from the Mausoleum.
That's right, you did. I absolutely love. There was one scene in particular that was a direct homage to that movie, which is where the horse and cart picks up
Thomas,
and it's driving down the windy road up to the castle. In the Bela Lugosi movie, it's painted backdrops, which is something I love. Hellraiser 2,
yeah,
the end of Hellraiser 2, where they're in the labyrinth and it's all the painted backdrops.
beautiful.
A special place in my heart. I love that kind of stuff. That's the backdrop from the Bela Lugosi's Dracula movie, and it's shot scene for scene. Scene for scene, it is a perfect copy of that, the castle design and everything. And when I saw it play out, man, I was just like, that is fucking cool. Like, that is so cool. Like, you are a guy who loves Dracula, you love Nosferatu, you love this world, you love this gothic horror momentum that you're on, and he is showcasing all of it, not just for fans, but it feels like he's doing it for himself. And
Yo,
when that scene
100%.
came up, man, I was just like, that is incredible, regardless of how the rest of this movie goes. Knowing that you've inserted that particular 3-second scene in here just makes me have more respect for you than anything else you've done so far.
Yeah, and like it's so well crafted as a movie. The story is the basic story of Dracula that I think is ingrained in pop culture. We all know that the guy is sent off, in this case it's Thomas, is sent off to Count Orlok to sign the contract. A few little tweaks they made in this, his wife being incredibly horny, and at the beginning he goes, oh, you're such a dirty girl. I was like, I'm sorry now, you're a what now? Honestly, it caught me so off guard. I was like, pardon? She's a dirty girl, is she? Like that caught me off guard. Also, the bit like he's sent off, it's a very basic open. He's sent off, his wife is having visions, but when he arrives in Transylvania and he ends up in the gypsy village, like that was a complete like, oh, okay, this is different. I like this. This is cool. And the fact
Yeah, you
they're
see,
all
the
like,
leader of the gypsy camp, I was expecting him to play the Van Helsing character. I was like, oh, he's going to be Van Helsing in this story. And then we don't see him again, man. That was such a disappointing build-up to something that never happened. I think that was a missed opportunity, in my opinion.
I think it was as well. And I like that when he got there, they'd done the whole, no, dude, like, you are not staying here. Like, fuck off. Like, do you understand? Like, the castle behind us contains the literally the epitome of evil. You need to leave. He's like, but I'll pay you double. And they go, yeah, okay, cool. Right, you can have room 3.
Take his money. I like the scene where the Leo lady comes up to him and starts speaking in her mother tongue, like, you need to leave, you can't be here, and all the rest of it. That was a cool direct scene from the original. I think in the original they do it at the side of the stage cart when he's first turns up in the town. So I do like that. It's hard to not throw in these comparisons because no matter what you say about it in this movie, the original's fucking 103 years old. You know, like whatever he does here is always going to be better and more cinematic, especially considering we're comparing this to a silent movie.
Yeah.
Everything that he adds and brings to it is filled with so much more detail and emotion than the first could ever convey without audio. So I don't know where I'm going with this, but my point is like I particularly enjoyed that scene. But again, every scene that he does replicate from the original is always going to be better in some way or form. If we're going to talk about comparing it to the original and issues that we do have, I think it's very important that we probably dive into Bill Skarsgård's character as Nosferatu and the design of him now, because I think that's going to take up a lot of time on this episode.
Yeah, I think
where are you at with it?
I am.
Want the mustache on or off?
Off, please.
Mustache
Too
appreciation
bad.
is on point in this film.
The whole like he wants to be like you mustache. Honestly, I laughed my like that reveal where he's like in the shadows. He's got that really like gravelly. I really, really, really want to be Gary Oldman Dracula voice. Like that, I was like, yeah, I get it. You're kind of paying homage to the original. I know you're also trying to sound like sort of throat singing from that time. I get what you're doing, but I've seen it before and I've seen it better. And then when he stepped into the light and he had this perfectly framed, like, I don't know, like 1922 tie you to a train track villain mustache, I was like, you don't.
But you see, the thing is, like, I had problems with it, and then I've seen a lot of articles produced recently that says, "Oh no, this is what is faithful in terms of the lore of this kind of mythology, and this is what they would look, and they've got drawings and sketches to back it up." And I know Robert Edgers as a person, I don't know him as a personal person, but what I mean is his enthusiasm for authenticity to his laws and his language and his dialect and things like that within his movies. I can understand the decision made for the character design of Bill Skarsgård here. I think my issue lies with it overall isn't the authenticity to it. I think it's so derivative to what we're used to in terms of the character of Nosferatu. And I think the thing that I find so appealing to the look and the design of him originally is the porcelain aesthetics of him. He's white, he's clean, and in here he's almost a Resident Evil zombie with a mustache, and it's like it doesn't hold that.
And his cock swinging out, which caught me so off. I was like, oh, okay, well, we're going to get full frontal cock in this. Like, you and me both have spoken about being an advocate for, if you're going to use nudity in a film, don't just show me boobs. Like, go the whole hog. Show me a cock as well. We're not shy of seeing someone else's cock. But in this movie, I did not expect it. And it caught me so off guard. I was like, oh, it's his dick. He's swinging and everything as he walks. It really fucking threw me for a loop.
Yeah, man. Yeah, that was very unexpected, to be honest with you, considering that the nudity was tamed down drastically in comparison to the Gary Oldman Dracula. I was expecting vampires of the night to come and take him while he was doing a stay at the castle, which we never got, which was disappointing. Another missed opportunity I feel like should have been included in this film.
I agree.
But to harken back down to Bill Skarsgård's Nosferatu, the problem I have with it overall, I think, is, again, the zombie aesthetic. I don't think it was necessary. I think it diminishes the elegance of the character. Although he's an otherworldly creature and he's supposed to look haunting like he does in the original and so many depictions of him since, I think this withered, downtrodden, deteriorating version of him just doesn't hold the impact for me that I felt like it should. I would have preferred a much more porcelain aesthetic to like what we've seen in the original. And again, to use Bill Skarsgård as a point, I couldn't tell it was Bill Skarsgård. I couldn't recognize
No.
his voice. There was nothing in his mannerisms or his performance that made me go, oh yeah, Bill Skarsgård's doing a great job. I feel like this is a role that could have been quite easily cast to anybody under that much level of prosthetics, and they could have delivered it with the same sort of impact. Which is a shame, I think, because I know that Bill Skarsgård can bring excellence to his performances under such a level of prosthetics.
Yeah.
Now, we saw that suggested leaked photo of Bill Skarsgård as Nosferatu months and months and months before this movie was even supposed to be released. He kept Bill Skarsgård under massive wraps.
It looks better
I
than
would have
what we got.
preferred.
Yeah.
I think so. That was my point. Yeah, I think I would have much preferred more characteristics of the actor than what we got here. I mean, don't get me wrong, it made for some really, really cool scenes, in particular that one where it was just focused upon the eyes and it looked
Really
like
cool.
the box art from the Atmosphere
Yeah,
video
just the
box
eyes
got
lit.
behind
Like,
you.
yeah, just
Yeah,
eyes
and
lit.
the no pupils, the whole blind eye thing. I mean, that looked fucking amazing, you know, but I feel like the level they went to separate it so vastly from the original was just a really, really misguided decision, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think it was a step too far, and also the meeting between the two is great, and you get this interaction. They sign all the paperwork, and then Thomas is like, "Well, I'm going to go home. Thanks. It's been lovely being with you." Creepy count who shouted at me literally the second I walked in the door after a 12-week drive, like, "You're a dick. I want to go." "No, you must stay until I finish what I'm doing." And then Dracula just sorry, no, not Dracula. Orlok just fucks off and leaves him. And then he has to make his own way back because Orlok's going and he gets on the boat and heads to London. Now, while all of this is going on, Mina Harker is having a full-on mental breakdown. And this side of the story I find far more interesting than Orlok traveling across the sea.
Yeah. All right, yeah.
Like,
I like what they do while they have the interaction with Orlok and Thomas as he signs his marriage away. That was a really cool scene because it's all like, "Oh, this is in my mother tongue," and he offers him the bag of gold to sign it, which he does. Only do we later find out that it's actually like a prenup for his marriage to Lily Depp. But I just want to focus a little bit more on that scene which you spoke about in front of the fire. Now, for me, my enjoyment of that scene came from not knowing what Orlok looked like, which made that scene incredible. So I was like, every time he got closer to the light, I was like, "Ooh, they're going to show a little bit of his face. They're going to show a little bit of this." I don't know if I watch this movie again, I would enjoy that scene half as much knowing the outcome.
No,
when
I don't
first
think you
watched
would.
it, I was like, "This is going to be mega. This is going to be cool. Like, show me a snippet, just show me a little bit, just so I can get my bearings on what his features are like." I don't think I'd enjoy that scene as much as I did that first watch, knowing now what I know.
No, and I made a realization later in the movie that I actually laughed to myself. So there's a scene where he stood face to face with Helen. I'm sure it's Ellen, Mina, whoever you want to call her. And from the side, with the moonlight coming through and lighting through his very big bushy mustache, and he's got like all of his like collar and stuff's like right up around his neck. In a silhouette, he looks exactly the same as Desperate Dan from the comics. And as soon as I saw that, I couldn't unsee it. Every time there's a close-up of his mouth, it's Desperate Dan. And I was waiting for him to get some dynamite. Like, he looks great, but because he looks so different to what I expected, and if I'm honest, what I wanted, it really took me back to a point where I'm looking at this going, it's not quite right. And that's what plagued me with his character all the way through.
I think that was my issue with it as well, is like, it wasn't so much that it was bad. I don't think it looked bad. I just think it was my expectations of what I wanted it to be and how derivative of it was. You know, like, it was so far away from what I expected.
Yeah,
And I think they did a great job of keeping it under wraps, because I think had they showcased this look in the trailer and given it away to audiences before they had gone to cinemas, I don't think many people would have gone. I
I
don't think it
think
would have got the reception it got.
I think we could have been on the verge of another Sonic, where they released the first images of Sonic. There may have been everyone who'd gone, absolutely not, go away and redo that. And I think that the Tash may have gone. I think there'd have been that much pressure from people going, this isn't right.
I think you say that, but I think because of Bill Skarsgård's presence as an actor, I think people would have given him the benefit of the doubt. He received the similar Sonic backlash when the first photos of him coming out was It were released, and everyone was like, "No, that's not the Tim Curry one. We know, no, that's awful." And he knocked it out of the park. And I think he's riding the tailcoats of that reputation ever since. I think he's a great actor. I really, really do. I think he's a fantastic actor, but I just think
he's not utilized in this properly.
No, he's not. He's not. And the thing is, as well, I read an article today that originally it was Mad Mikkelsen, because this movie was supposed to come out like 5 or 6 years ago, and it was Mad Mikkelsen who was supposed to play Nosferatu, and Bill Skarsgård went for the role of Thomas. He got the part. The movie fell apart.
Thanks for burning.
Sorry, if I just banned through your facts.
But yeah, you're right. It was originally he was going to play Thomas, and I think, if I'm honest, I'd rather have seen him in that role, because I always forget Nicholas Hoult is just not the right guy for this movie.
He is. He's perfect. And this is one thing I knew we would clash heads about. Nicholas Hoult is a fucking amazing in this movie. And what movie was it we did? Was it Renfield we covered? Did we cover Renfield on here? And I was saying to you how disappointed I was by Nicholas Hoult, because I know he's an amazing actor and I know he can deliver top tier stuff. He showcased that here. This is a Nicholas Hoult that I'm like, yeah, man, you are the fucking man. Do you know, you are the man, and you deserve that recognition. If you compare this performance to fucking Keanu Reeves,
no, I wasn't going to. I was going to say what I said on the Renfield episode for me still stands. Nicholas Hoult is a comedic actor, and he's so typecast as a comedic actor. When he takes a serious role, I can't take him seriously. And in this, all the time, I didn't think he was good at this, and I didn't connect with his character at all. Not at all.
Yeah,
like all the way through, I'm like,
with you on that.
Yeah, and like it's a personal thing.
Yeah, like, which is fine. You're allowed to disagree with it, but I just think for me, when we had that conversation on Renfield, this is a Nicholas Hoult that I was referring to. This is what my envision of his abilities is, and I think he did a phenomenal job. Those scenes where he was like cowering to Orlok in his first interactions with him, and his like worn down presence, and then him rising to the challenge at the end. I do think the level of emotions he conveys throughout this film, I think he's flawless, man. And I think it needs a director like Eggers, as I've mentioned all of this month, who brings the best out of all of his cast, to push him in that right direction, you know. And I hope he gets some recognition for his performance in this film.
See, I would argue that the performance he gave in this, of being the coward, scared, tired, really broken down to rising to the challenge, is exactly the same performance he gave in Renfield, just in a blue washed screen. Like, nothing for me in this changed. It's the same Nicholas Hoult. It's the same performance. Don't get me wrong. He is a good actor. Like, there's no question about it. He is great in this movie, but for me, he's not the right fit for that role. And I don't think Keanu was either.
And I don't think Bill Skarsgård would have been either.
No.
I think now as an actor, I don't think he can. I mean, don't get me wrong. I would love to see him take on a role like that. I would love to live in a different universe where that actually happened, where Mad Mikkelsen was Count Orlok.
Oh, yeah.
I don't think that Bill Skarsgård's got that. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think he is that actor. I've seen him in stuff. I remember the what was the Stephen King TV show that they did? It was Castle Rock.
Yeah, done Castle Rock. He done Hemlock Grove. He's fabulous in that as well.
Yep, really cool in that as well. But I just don't think, in terms of the acting chops, he plays under prosthetics very well. He plays very haunting, creepy guy, and I just think they threw him too deep into it in this movie, and it didn't showcase him properly. But at the same time, had I seen him in a different role in this movie, I don't think he would have been able to live up to it.
Yeah, I think you're probably right. I mean, let's be honest. We need to tackle it. The standout star from this movie, who is going to have a phenomenal movie career that's going to rival, if not surpass, her father's, is Lily Rose Depp.
Do you think?
She was phenomenal in this. There's a single shot in this movie where she's having one of her emotional breakdowns and no one's really listening to her, and she just stops and she pauses, and it's all done in a single shot, and we get just a single tear. And when that happened, I was like, fucking hell, that is like incredible, because both your eyes have welled up and you've just blinked just enough to get one to get like every time she was on screen, I was like, you're fabulous. You really are something to watch. And her story, I think because I found her storyline really captivating, because her storyline is the thing that's changed. So
yeah,
Jonathan or Thomas,
she's
or
not the idle matron of the first movie. She is the interconnecting heartstrings of the film and the vital demise of it. You know, like the ending for me. I'm not going to go too much into that just yet, but I thought it was fucking perfectly full circled.
I think we need to talk about the bit of when, like, so Jonathan does this venture back, and you've got Orlok on the ship, and he kills some people, which the ship scene's cool. They didn't give the Demeter enough time, in my opinion. That's still my favorite chapter of Dracula. We meet Willem Dafoe, who's so she's gone into like almost like a hypnotic state, and she's seeing the monster, and Willem Dafoe is our Van Helsing character. He's great in that
really
role.
Cool. Loved it. Brilliant.
The needle through the arm and the exorcism was like
it wasn't the first one that got me. I thought the first one was cool, and the contortionist sort of stuff that Lily Depp does was really cool. But I think the best version of that is later on with the interaction with her and Thomas when he comes back and her eyes roll in the back of her head.
Oh,
that one was fucking spellbounding, man. Like that was better than anything that she'd done prior.
That's where she goes full Hulkamania and like shakes and then rips her shirt.
Yeah. And her eyes just roll back in her head, and it is a fucking terrifying scene, man. It's really, really well executed, and she's brilliant in that segment. And I don't necessarily think she was bad throughout. I don't know what it is. I just have a real issue with her, and I don't know, man. I don't want to be that guy who's like Nepto babies.
Is it because you're an Amber Heard fan? Is that what it is? You're a fan of Amber Heard.
It's certainly not. I'm a big Johnny Depp fan. I love him. I think he's fantastic. And I don't want to be that whole Nepto baby thing and be like, oh yeah, she's just got the part because she's Johnny Depp's daughter. But I do feel like there are better actresses who would have been more suited to the role of this character. Even the lady who plays Aaron Johnson's wife. I would have quite happily seen the two of those switch role.
Yeah, that would have worked. I'll give you that. Yeah,
I think they were miscast between the two of them 100%. I think that I've seen her do amazing things, not just Charles Xavier's sister in Deadpool Wolverine. I think she is phenomenal, and I think she would have been much, much better in the leading role and Lily Depp taking the side role in this movie.
What did you think of? So one of the things that was really bigged up and that was all over the press was the rats. Did you have a moment? Because I did. It's like you see the ship land, and it like Orlok's on the ship, and Thomas is stowed away on the ship, and you get all the rats that come out. I expected more. I was like, oh, it's some rats. I wasn't like, it's like there's so many rats, and people have protested the fact they've used rats in this movie. Like, the rats are just running around. Like, there was nothing in this that made me go, oh wow, look at all those rats. Like,
no, there was never a particular scene that if anything, I feel like a lot of the scenes that utilized them could have been filled out more. Like that scene where Willem Dafoe is burning down the castle at the end, and he stood in front of the grave with the gasoline light and everything. That could have used a million times more rats running around at his feet. That would have looked fucking amazing. The scene looked incredible anyway, but I think that would have amplified it even more. the showcase when they're walking through the streets of Germany after the ship's docked, and you only see like 4 or 5 rats running around the street as if to imply that there is a mass plague coming for them. Again, those scenes I could have probably taken a few more rats on screen to highlight the importance of the arrival of Orlok. I do like that they use the rats as a story implement, like as a way to, because what they do throughout this movie is it's almost like it's you have to believe it to know that it's real. Like Thomas believes it, Lily Depp's character believes it, Aaron Johnson's character, he doesn't believe it. He thinks it's just a standardized plague and everybody's just losing their mind. And I think using the plague to highlight is it not, is it real, is it not, was a really good way of showcasing that. But I do feel, yeah, you're right, I think there could have been a lot more amplification in terms of showcasing the rats on screen as a way of, especially upon his arrival when the boat docks.
Like that should have been, they should have been swarming over the walls, and like that shot at night where he goes down and he sees the boats crashed. Like there should have been rats climbing the walls and going over it should have been like a flood, but it wasn't. It was like
in the same way in Lord of the Rings, in Lord of the Rings: Return of the King, where the ghosts just burst out over the top and just a swarm of green ghosts just take out the orcs.
Yeah,
that should exactly have been the same thing.
Yeah, I agree. The one thing I loved in this, the little twist that Lily Rose Depp's character Ellen
belongs to the streets.
Like the fact she does belong to the streets, and Orlok is her teenage booty call, like that adds such a cool dynamic to this. Like where she has that scene where she is basically goes all funny, and then she's like gets her husband to have sex with her, like that whole scene, and then she like pushes him off, like, oh, what did I do? Like that whole thing there is brilliant, because it then makes me go back and question the comment at the beginning is like, you're a dirty girl, aren't you? And I'm going, is she only a dirty girl when she's influenced by Orlok? Like, is this just like all this wild sex he's been having? Is this just linked back to her sort of erotic link to the vampire? And I thought that was really, really, really cool.
So I wanted some clarification on their interlinking connection, because I've only seen this movie once, watched it in the cinema. I need to give it a rewatch 100%, and I will do when it comes to streaming. So you get the scene at the beginning, and it shows that they're connected prior, 4 years earlier, to the events of the movie. She then marries Thomas. She's still having dreams and visions of him. Is he just coming to her in his dreams and his vision? Because when Thomas turns up with the locket, that's what happens in the original. He sees a locket, and that's his fascination. That's where it begins. That's where his drive comes from. He keeps Thomas in the castle so he can then go and pursue his wife. In this movie, it's almost like his purpose to be there in the first place is to pursue her.
Yeah, so in this one, I'm assuming it's through some sort of floaty mind control stuff that Dracula can do. But in this one, they were effectively a booty call before they got together. She has been intimate in her dreams or in a vision with Orlok. Then she met her husband. She called out to have someone to love her, and Orlok's spirit or essence is what answered. Then she got married. Then Orlok's like, where's my like weekly dream booty call gone?
Yeah,
that's weird. So he's like, oh, it's there. Like, let's bring her husband over here. We'll get that marriage annulled. I'll go to London. Then I'll get the real deal. That's kind of the gist of this. Their meeting when he comes and visits her in her room, I was really underwhelmed by this. And I think it's partly the appearance of Orlok. But like, you know, the shadow play we talked about this in the original, the shadow play, like where he comes up the stairs and you see the shadow and then the shadow extends. They tried to do that in this movie, but at no point did this movie do it as well. Or there wasn't, like in that first movie, I was like, wow, how did they get that shadow to like bend around that corner? And in this, like, it doesn't look as, it didn't wow me as much. Like, you get the shadow on the hand, like the image behind us, you get the shadow across the city, you get the hand coming up the stairs. Like, all of those are cool, but they didn't achieve that kind of almost like light bending trick that they done in 1922, and I don't know how they didn't manage to hit that right.
No, again, I have to agree with you completely on that. I think when you're remaking such a classic, you have to focus upon the things that make that classic so impactful and so well remembered by fans. And I think although he's amplified the story to a much more developed and much more investable level, I think in order to coincide with that, you need to take elements of those scenes that people are like, oh, that was really cool. You need to then innovate it. You need to then create something new and spectacular. Like they did the one where the hand came across a city, and yeah, it looked cool, but we know it's CGI. We know it is what it is. It's CGI. There's nothing impressive about it in that sense. But the scene where Orlok comes to the house and you see him come from the curtains and he goes around the wall and then he goes up the stairs and then the shadow opens the door, I was very unfulfilled by those scenes. I was like, yeah, it's great that it's there, but it's not as good as it was 100 years ago. And that's a warning sign for me.
And to say that something that's made today, like they've replicated a scene and it's not as good as they achieved 103 years ago, that is why did someone not take Robert Eggers to one side and go, look, do you just want to watch this scene again? And I'm going to play it side by side with what you've done, and like just have a look and just let me know what you think. Like, why did that not happen?
I honestly don't know, dude, and I'm on the same page with you as that. I think in those instances, I was very unfulfilled by the attempts that they made to incorporate that into the movie. I just felt it was very unfulfilling. I think he should have done better, given the advancements in technology, to be able to create something so spectacular and so groundbreaking in a way, because I think that is what that scene deserves. In all honesty, I think that deserves something where we're sat there and we're like, holy shit, dude, that looks fucking cool. But I mean, I've seen that done in Scary Movie. Do you know, I've seen them do that and replicate it in Scary Movie to the same standard as what they do here. There was nothing about it that made me go, all right, that's worthy of a tribute to the original, because it certainly wasn't. It weren't bad. It wasn't bad in any way. I didn't be like, that looks corny, but it almost felt as if it was just there. It was there, and that was it.
Yeah, one thing they do in this that they don't do in the original Nosferatu is the murder of the family. So he basically says to Ellen, look, I'm going to give you 3 nights. Every one of these nights, I'm going to kill the people that you love, which is your best friend, her husband, the children. And then on the 3rd night, I'm going to kill your husband if you don't willingly submit to me. The murder of the mum and the children is brutal as fuck. So the mum gets
necessarily the mother. I don't think she was as brutal. I felt like that could have been more horrifying. She gets bitten a couple of times by rats and then dies of the fever the next day. Yeah, very sad, very impactful. But the fucking children, man, the children, dude, that was...
She opens the door and there's a child on the floor, and you just see Nosferatu lift another child away from his face, just drop them, and they just hit the floor like a sack of potatoes. I was like,
and then he bites the neck of the other and just discards that as if it's nothing as well. And I'm like, oh shit. And then he comes and finishes off the mother. I'm like, oh my goodness, this is fucking wounding. What's more heartbreaking about it is that she tries to wake up Aaron Johnson. Is it Aaron Taylor Johnson?
Yeah.
It is, yeah. I love him. I think he's great.
He's brilliant.
That she tries to wake him up. Like, as a father and as a dad who has children and a wife in the house, I'm terrible for this. Like, I'm once I'm asleep, dude, I'm dead to the world. My kids can come in the morning, they can jump on my head, they can do whatever, and it's an effort to get me up in the morning. Like, I could be awake all night, but I can hear the slightest noise.
I was just about to say. So, like, the kids will jump on me, Lisa will get up, like, bang around the house, doors closing, showers going, won't wake up. If there is a noise outside that's not a normal noise, I wake up.
I'm up.
I'm up and I'm outside in the garden with the torch going, what was that? At least
Yeah,
I
yeah,
didn't
yeah,
hear
yeah. I'm
anything. But
exactly
well,
the
I did.
same, man. But when it's normality and it's something that's like the kids just want to get up and want to play and start the day, I'm like, I can sleep through it, you know.
I'm so glad it's not. I always thought it was just a me thing. Like
No, dude, no. It's another thing. It's a Euron podcast thing. I'm with you on that one. It's like, yeah, I can't get up in the morning. No, I can't get up in the morning. That sounds really, really bad. I'm an active person. I have a job. I'm never late for work. I'm up. But what I'm saying is, if my daughter comes in at 5 o'clock in the morning and she's bouncing on my head, I can quite easily sleep through her jumping on my head for another half an hour before I need to get up.
Yeah, I'm the same. But if someone knocks the door at an unexpected time, I'm up dressed at the door. Hello, who are you? What do you want?
Dude, I could wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning to a dripping tap in the kitchen downstairs and be like, who hasn't turned the tap off properly?
Yeah, I'm the same. But yeah, those kills are horrific. Then we get that awful funeral scene, which is heartbreaking when you see the two children's coffins being carried. And this is where you get like Team Vampire. So you get Ellen and Thomas and Willem Dafoe all go to the funeral, and then they recruit the dad. And it's like, there's this bit in the carriage where they're like, we are Team Vampire Hunter. And then they get out, and this is where Willem Dafoe has a chat with Ellen, and she's aware that she's the only one who can stop the curse, and he's read in a book that she must lay with Nosferatu until the sun rises for him to die.
Yeah,
it's cool.
Yeah, and very, very cool. And I don't want to jump the gun with the ending because I feel like it's something that we need to discuss properly. But I like that. I think she makes a really, really good protagonist in the movie at this point. It's a switch from her character to where she gets that realization that she is the only one that can stop this. And even though that they're all coming up with this plan to go and destroy his grave and his burial soil and stuff like that, while although it is an effective plan because he's got nowhere to go in the final act, I like the way that she knows, look, I need to let him go on this journey, otherwise he's not going to let me fulfill the prophecy in order to stop this. And it elevates her character to a level that I don't think the first original movie gave the credit she deserved for. So that was really, really, really cool. One thing I did want to ask you about, because again, I'd only seen it in the cinema. It was a one-time watch. You're not taking notes in a dark room. The scene where the dad dies in the grave.
I took notes in it. So, fourth wall break. When I go to the cinema to watch a new release, I go with a notepad and pen. And Nosferatu.
Dude, you sat there with a fucking head torch, being the guy. You are that guy, aren't you?
Nosferatu was a very busy cinema, and there was people sat either side of me, and they're both looking at me like, is this guy a movie critic? Is he just a fucking lunatic? And especially when I'm writing like Mina is from the streets. She shagged Dracula before. Like, they're looking, and I can see them like leaning over going, Dracula? Mina? What the fuck is this guy on?
Excellent. My point is the dad's death. Like, yes. I must have just blinked and missed it. I don't know what happened. I don't know. Like, he went to the grave. He uncovered his wife. Yeah. Because in the original Bram Stoker, she kills him. She wakes up and she kills him, and then she gets staked and she's dead.
In this, she kills him, but it's through the plague that she has caught. So she kills him through the fact that he kisses her and he caresses her, and necrophilia kills, basically. He dies through messing with a dead body.
Again, it harkens back to my want from the castle scenes with Nicholas Holt's character. I think I would have liked to have seen Dracula's brides in that segment again. And I know it's different law, it's different movie. It's not different law, it's a fucking same, man. It's a rip. It is, book. It so is. I would have liked to have seen the incorporation of the Dracula's brides at the castle. Therefore, I would have liked to have seen the whole replication of this scene.
The bride. Yeah, I agree. Waking up and
Yeah. So what did we got it in the original Francis Ford Coppola one with it was Jude Law's wife at the time. I can't remember her name, which is really embarrassing.
She was beheaded. beheaded or stake through the heart, beheaded. Like, it was really cool. It was a great scene.
Yeah, and I would have liked to have seen that. I feel like this film needed that. I feel like it needed that scene.
It really did, because the stupid thing is, after that, they go into this, like, they go to execute the plan. Like, Ellen's left at home, and they all go to Dracula's castle. And it's a really cool scene where they go in on the boat, and Willem Dafoe goes full on fucking pyromaniac with his, like, lighting everything on fire. And there's a really cool scene where he's like, as Dracula burns. Like,
brilliant.
That, yeah.
But imagine how cool that scene would have been if we'd have gone full Quentin Tarantino, Dusk Till Dawn level shit, Robert Rodriguez stuff, with Dracula's brides interacting and Willem Dafoe's character fighting them off. You know, like, it could have just elevated itself to so many levels had it included just that little bit of nonsensical isn't the word that I want to use to describe it, but just that little bit of going that extra level. You know, and I know Robert Eggers as a director is a very grounded person, and his movies are very grounded in what his storytelling is. But for me, man, when you're dealing with such well-known lore and well-known characters and well-known storytelling, to exclude something that provides you a window of opportunity to elevate those
so
simple
impactful
scenes. Yeah, you know, and for me, it just should have been that. I think it's really disappointing that it isn't. Apparently, this is a much longer cut of this movie, but I just can't see those elements being incorporated into it. I think it'd just be extended dialogue and more scenes
I agree.
of Skarsgård, which is a shame. You know, I just think I love the movie. I think it's fantastic. I'm so invested in the lore of Dracula, and I love the original movie with Gary Oldman, and I even love the original Nosferatu movie. Even the Bella Lugosi stuff, you know, going way back. I just think the whole Gothic horror element. I love this Gothic horror romanticizable element of this story. And I think it conveys really, really well. I just think it should have been there, man. There was no reason for him to exclude it either.
No, I think this, for me, the strongest element of this movie is the last 10 minutes. So the last 10 minutes when they're burning everything down, and Thomas has that realization of, he's not here, that means he's gone for my wife. And that beautiful shot, you've got Orlok talking with Ellen and like her submitting to him as it cuts to the city, and you've got Nicholas Hoult like running through the city.
Really cool.
That is really cool. And as much as I shit on Nicholas Hoult earlier, I do think he's a good actor. And that moment where he has that realization and he sort of does a double intake of breath and his eyes start watering, I was like, that's awesome.
Yeah, because you can see just from the conveying of his acting that he knows, regardless of him sprinting to it, it's too late. It's too late for him to do anything. Willem Dafoe's character knows it. He knows she's made this sacrifice. He even says this is what she has to do for this to stop.
Yeah, this had more nipple biting in it than I expected. This closing act as Orlok makes love to her, like it was very much like, here's Lily Rose Depp's boob, Bill Skarsgård, bite it. Okay, we're going to stay there for about 7 minutes, and then we're going to cut to him running. We're going to come back, and you're still going to be biting her nipple. Like it felt very over sexualized, and it didn't need to be.
But it is a very sexualized scene. Do you know what I mean? I think
it is. But
I know what you're saying. But again,
shot of that
had you had the whole fucking vampire bride thing earlier on,
wouldn't have needed it at all.
You wouldn't even give this final scene a blink of the eye. But because it's the first signs of nudity, even going as far back as having the werewolf sex scene, you know?
Like, yeah, exactly that.
This would have been a fucking blip in the ocean, and we wouldn't even be talking about it. But I think because it becomes so out of left field compared to what we've experienced so far in the runtime, when it gets to it, you're like, this feels a little bit unnecessary.
The stupid thing is, in this scene, like, Orlok shows me that he is just a guy. Like, he may be a 1,000-year-old vampire, the oldest of all vampires. But just like me and you, if you're doing that and your wife goes, no, just a bit more, and you're late for work You do that. Fuck it. They'll understand. I'm staying here. And he does that to his own death. He stays for more boob sucking and dies because he can't let go of her.
You see, I thought he died because he couldn't return to the grave because it had been burnt. So I think had the opportunity for him to return, had Willem Dafoe not burnt it, he maybe would have in that instance. But I kind of interpreted
Did he know? Did he know he was?
I think so. I think he looked out the window and saw the castle burning.
Did he? Because I don't know.
Again, I don't know, man. Do you know, this is the first watch for me. I need to give it some more time.
See,
one thing
I read it
really appreciate. Oh, go on. Sorry.
I read it as
I'm
the fact
derailing. So,
well, you're derailing, but I'm going to just lower the tone. I read it as he was balls deep in Ellen, looked out the window and went,
I should have derailed.
Yeah, he looked out the window and went, the castle. I'll sort that out later. I'm busy. That's kind of how I read it.
No, my interpretation of it is because that portal had been cremated, in essence, he could no longer fulfill his powers to be able to leave like he normally would through Shadow Realm and all the rest of it and return. I think they executed the source of his power. And so he was, in that instance, just a man. And he had to stay where he was. One thing that I really, really liked is the change in the biting of vampire lore. They made a purposeful point of showing that bites were not on the neck, but on the heart, which I think was really, really cool. And would make more sense in a way. I know the main arteries are in the neck, and that's how the story's developed in terms of romanticizing vampires. But I did appreciate the way that they focused more upon the bites being on the chest, especially to the heart side of the chest. That was really, really cool. But I have read in interviews and articles and stuff where it was like, we wanted to keep this more away from the elegant side of vampire lore that people have come to know. But at the same time, my mind is just like, no, there's a reason it's gone in that direction. Like, it's not a bad thing, it's not a bad thing that the story has been changed to make people more. We're not twilighting zombies. We're not saying that they are fucking Edward Cullen, but what we're saying is like, if you've been alive long enough and you have regenerative health, you would be a superior in a room. You would be an elegant presence within a crowd, And when you get that in Gary Oldman's Dracula and countless Dracula stories that we've had and vampire stories over the years. I mean, Interview with a Vampire, for example, like it
makes sense.
It's not there because it's a way that's been twisted. It's there because it suits the narrative of those stories. And I think they missed the mark a little bit by trying to revert it back. It just didn't. It doesn't land. A zombified Nosferatu was just like, this dude looks like ill and weak, and he doesn't have the commanding presence that I want from his character. Like I do.
I agree.
So many other iterations of the character, again, personalized him. I don't think that's the right word, but I think bringing it back to that porcelain look that we had from the original would have been much more beneficial to this movie. And I think given the story and the way that this unfolds, I think that style it would have fit much better. It would have fit so much better, man. And it pisses me off that I'm sat here saying these things because I do think this movie is fucking brilliant. I think it's really, really glorious. And I do love the story. And I think it amplifies the original. And not only does it amplify the original, I think it betters the Gary Oldman Dracula. I think it does things with the story that are so much better here than they were in that retelling. And there's just one simple element that they missed and got completely wrong, which is Count Orlok. And I think had they just changed that ever so slightly, this movie would have been so much better.
Yeah, and I think that's a perfect space to take a break. So let's do that.
I take like one sip of my drink and then I drop my full drink right on the robot.
To hear the rest of this story and many others like it, mixed in with film reviews, music discussion and true crime, You Gonna Eat That Crust podcast is the place for you. Hosted by Ryan, Greg and Seamus, the Crusty Boys bring you something truly unique every single episode.
Jack is useless. He pulls out his knife and he immediately loses the knife.
While if in-depth film discussion covering all movie genres is your thing, then Movies for Days is the place for you. Hosted by Newman, this show is hilariously funny and so detailed. These and many other shows all available at yourunpodcast.com. So please go to yourunpodcast.com, check out the other network members. There's so many great shows there. Also check out our shop. Also check out all the other shows we do as well. And yeah, do that. yourunpodcast.com. And now it's that time of the day. It's time for Marc's recommended account of the week. Maybe he's brought his own this week. We'll find out. Did you bring your own this week? Oh, you have brought your own. It's not been gifted to you this week.
It's not been. The people have not been generous to me this week, so I had to put the research in myself. Thankfully enough, though, I have a backlog. And top of that backlog is Gary Cross _key art. Gary Cross is an artist who basically takes movie posters and designs his own interpretations of what he feels would be better than what the studios produce. And to be honest with you, more often than not, his versions are better than some of the ones that I've seen. I bring him up particularly this week because he recently posted one of the Nosferatu movie that came out, which his version actually showcases Bill Skarsgård in the cover. And it looks fucking awesome, man. It looks really, really cool. And I think had we had this inkling to the vision of what they were trying to replicate with the character, I would have maybe been a little bit more forgiving in my opinion of this movie. So that was the one that brought it to attention this week. But there's some of the other ones that he's done which are really, really cool that are worth checking out. He's done a really cool one for Copycat. Have you seen Copycat?
Yes.
The thriller horror movie with Sigourney Weaver.
Yeah.
Fucking awesome. He's done such a cool cover art for that movie, which I looked at it straight away and I was like, that's fucking amazing. He's done one for The Descent. He doesn't just specialize in horror, by the way. He's got Pulp Fiction and other Rambo movies and all the rest of it on his Instagram profile. He's a really talented guy, and I think that you would all enjoy checking out some of these alternative cover arts. So go check him out, man. It's as simple as that. Gary Cross _key art at Instagram. And as always, let him know the You Run podcast sent you then.
Yeah, do that. I'm going to go do that because that sounds awesome. Let's do some facts. So I'm going to ignore the ones you've burnt through that Bill Skarsgård was originally going to play Thomas and we're going to have someone else. So I'm going to skip past that one. So the original Nosferatu was a rip-off of Dracula. So it came out in 1922 and Dracula came out in 1897. The problem is Bram Stoker's wife was still alive. And she sued the shit out of the makers of Nosferatu. And they had almost every single copy destroyed as part of that lawsuit. Yeah, burnt, literally dragged into the street and burnt all the copies of Nosferatu. And what we've got today, we're still not 100% that is the full movie. We've got bits from here, bits from there that have been saved and restored and put together. But yeah, I thought
and
that was
none of
really
them
cool.
have the original audio from the original release. They've got reorchestrated stuff.
Yeah, which again is cool. We nearly got a very different cast to this, like even more different to what Marc suggested at the beginning. So when this was first spoke about, they were going to cast Anya Taylor-Joy as Ellen, and Nosferatu was going to be cast as Harry Styles.
Oh,
how do you feel about that?
I couldn't give a fuck because it doesn't matter. It really doesn't fucking matter in this movie who is cast as Nosferatu. Because I don't think for 1 second that is Bill Skarsgård's voice either.
No,
I think it's so heavily edited and put through certain programs and simulations to give it that raspy thing.
I'm letting you go with
who plays him.
I'm letting you go with it because my next fact is just going to undo everything you just said.
Don't tell me that was Bill Skarsgård's voice. He must have had to smoke 60 cigars a day to be able to achieve that level of gravel.
Before we get to his voice, let's talk prosthetics. So Bill Skarsgård had a lot of prosthetics in this, and much to the disappointment of every listener who has a thing for Bill Skarsgård, his penis was also prosthetic. It was not Bill
Yes,
Skarsgård.
it got given to Nicholas Hoult after production.
He
has it
did.
framed in his house.
Do you know how it got given to Nicholas Hoult? This is the best bit of this. So Nicholas Hoult was so enamored by this prosthetic penis, he's like, that is the coolest shit I've ever seen. So after filming Wrapped, Robert Eggers sent it to him as a gift.
Amazing.
And yeah, he has got it framed, and it is framed, and it is above his mantelpiece in his house, which is awesome.
Incredible.
In this movie, Robert Eggers wanted to recreate something he recreated in The Witch, and that was the climax of the film being a female giving in to her lustful desires, which I thought was quite cool. It's a callback to The Witch that she gave in to what she wanted.
Yeah, and to be honest with you, we got sidelined and didn't really talk about the closing act of the movie. How were you with her sacrifice? Because I was expecting her to survive. I was expecting him to come in and give him the whole Sleeping Beauty, I'm your Prince Charming, I'm here now, my love, and her wake up. And I'm glad she didn't. I appreciated the fact that they went there and killed her in that instant.
It's 2025. Like, sleeping princesses aren't woken up by princes anymore. It's a case of she gave the ultimate sacrifice. I think it worked well. I don't know how much she was sacrificing versus how much she actually enjoyed that. Like, there was a lot
she gave into it.
Yeah, I think there's a huge disparity with how much she submitted to that and how much she took that as part of her thing. And I don't know if it surpassed her sacrificing herself more as giving herself to Nosferatu.
Again, I think that could have been handled a lot better. I think there should have been implications of her. This is a really, really poor choice of words, and I do apologize. As a victim of rape, in a way, like conveying,
like fighting back against it. Yeah,
not
like
necessarily fighting back, but
I
her
don't
emotions.
Like
her emotions showcasing that she's not enjoying the situation, but she's doing what needs to be done. I don't think they represented that very well in the closing act. They almost, and again, unless they left that open for interpretation, where you're not supposed to know whether she was fulfilling what she ultimately desired, or whether she was just doing what needed to be done. And I think had it been showcased more that she was doing what needed to be done against her will,
but she wasn't,
I would have enjoyed it more.
Robert Eggers' fact is that it was a woman giving in to her lustful desires. She wasn't doing what was meant to be done. She was doing what she wanted to do. That's the whole point.
And if that's his intention, then I think that's showcased perfectly well, because it looked to me like she was fully in. Yeah, I think she was fully invested in the situation. For me personally, considering the journey I'd been on with her character, I would have liked to have seen more resistance. But yeah, it doesn't work. It doesn't work, and I think it was a poor decision on his part. I'll be honest.
Let's unpick your fact about the heavily edited Bill Skarsgård voice. Bill Skarsgård trained with an opera coach to help lower the octave of his voice, Count Orlok. It's exactly the same as Gary Oldman did for his portrayal of Dracula in Francis Coppola's. He also trained and studied the language of the time. They'd done a lot of throat singing. So he took up throat singing, and it was throat singing in this special training to lower the octave of his voice and get the accent right. He practiced for over a year before he appeared on set.
You can just imagine him on the sidelines of The Crow in between takes, just fucking yodeling his head off.
But see, what I get is like he goes and does that like really vicious like opera scene, and then he goes to the side and goes, "I am Count Orlok." Like, it's when you picture it like that, it's quite funny. We have no voicemails this week because we're recording back to back with The Witch. We also have no Spotify comments for exactly the same reason. We do have kind of a mixed bag of interactions because it's a new release. I kind of put how can I word this? I threw everything at the wall to see what stuck, because it's a new release. It's like, who's seen it, who hasn't. If I just stick it in one place, we're going to get nothing. So we got a bit of everything. Comment on X for Movies for Days. This is Newman, member of the new Euron Podcast Network. A stunning achievement of cinema, one of the best of the year. No surprise considering the team behind it. Then on TikTok, to completely counteract his point, we've got Jordana from Pretty Killer Podcast, also a fabulous show. I feel very underwhelmed. It didn't feel like a horror movie to me, more like a gothic love story. I agree with you. It's beautifully shot, but I have seen better. So
I have to disagree in a way. I do feel like the horror elements were very much at the forefront in this movie. I think there was elements of it, especially with the exorcism scenes, they were completely out of left field for me. I didn't see that side of this movie coming on whatsoever, and I think they were executed very well in terms of the impact of them, the terror of them, and even more so the jump scare element that they provided. I'm not a big advocate for jump scares, but again, in the hands of directors like Robert Edgar, they can be done very well, and this movie showcases that. I don't think the horror element is one thing that needs to be criticized in this movie at all. And that's no dig at you, Jordana. I love you. You know I do. I just think that's
come through, Jordana.
On that.
Come through, Jordana. Send a voicemail.
I'm sick of people coming for me. I'm sick of people attacking me, man. I just want a quiet life. You know, I have to just say I don't think that's necessarily correct. I think that's definitely open to interpretation. You're not wrong for your opinion. I just think for me personally, I think the horror elements here were very much at the forefront and done to a high standard.
Come get him, Jordana. We also put out caption this, and this was the image that I chose. Crazy ass Willem Dafoe burning everything to the ground. We got some great ones. Some of them actually made me proper laugh when I read them. Dissect that film pod. It's getting hot in here. To which I couldn't help but reply, so take off all your clothes. And they said no. They're a film podcast. Everest Queen 78. We built a fire and roasted marshmallows over the flames. And they're a photography account. Dad's Got Steel come in with a callback to the Lighthouse episode, which made me laugh a lot. He put, well, I'll be damned. These farts really are flammable. And he's a steelbook collector. And finally, Grim Forever 1979. Damn that Taco Bell.
Oh.
And they're a horror nerd account. Remember, if you want to be part of the show in any of these ways, all you need to do is drop us a follow on social media at You Run Podcast everywhere. We've got a game. We're bringing back an old game and rehashing it in a new way, just like Robert Eggers did with Nosferatu. So Higher or Low is a game we play where it's the how much the movie made, and I tell you one, and then you guess whether it's higher or lower. We're going to do that.
This game.
Yeah, well, we've changed it because we're rehashing it. So it's all about budgets now, how much money they spent on the movie. And it's all about Robert Eggers movies. He's not made many. This will be the shortest game in You Run podcast history. And two of these movies we've already covered and already discussed the budget. So if you do badly, we have issues.
Two of them we've recorded tonight as well, for fuck's sake.
Yeah, and one of them, I'm going to give you how much they spent because it's your starting point. So we're going to start with Nosferatu. So Nosferatu cost the studio $50 million to make.
Right, okay. So, that's a good starting point for me. If The Witch is a follow-up question, then I'm all right.
Okay, The Witch.
Less.
That's correct. The Witch cost less.
That's my Uno card gone though now. That is literally it.
It cost a whole $4 million. Up next, The Lighthouse. Did that cost more or less than $4 million?
Oh, dude, do you know what it is? We did this last week. And I feel like there was a thing about it where like he wasn't getting. No, I feel like it's gonna be more. Like The Witch was his first movie. It was bound to be low. He had Robert Pattinson and Willem Dafoe. That's surely his wages gone in them alone. But again, they both did it for passion reasons and not for they both did it because they wanted to and not because they needed the money to do so. It wasn't a paycheck. It was a want to work with him as a director. Oh, is this a trick question?
No, it's genuinely not. It is higher. It is $11 million. And the last one on this list, I said it was a short game. You've got everyone right so far. The Northman.
Higher. That had fucking stacked cast. It had Bill Skarsgård's brother. Don't remember his name. He's just Bill Skarsgård's brother. Nicole Kidman. That was like a full-on fantasy epic. Yeah. I haven't seen it. I was kind of hoping we were going to get it this month to round up Art House month. To be honest, I could just do the full 4 collection in one go, but we didn't get it in the last round. So no, higher.
It is higher. Now I'm going to throw a real curveball. Is that higher or lower than Nosferatu?
Didn't you just tell me that was? Oh, right. So you haven't actually revealed what the thing is, right? It's got to be higher. Nosferatu's got to be higher than that, surely.
No,
actually, no, I should have gone no.
No, see, The Northman is the official budget has not been released, but it is a minimum of 70, a maximum of 120. But
have you seen The Northman?
I have. It's a fabulous movie.
Is it a horror movie?
Kinda. It ticks enough boxes that we could shoehorn it onto the show.
Yeah,
there's enough in there.
Enough stuff on here to fucking.
Yeah, exactly that. Anyway, next week we will be back with a much better game because next week
we're not rounding it.
That comes.
Are we not rounding up this week? Are we just calling it a day here?
No, we are. But I'm just saying next week we've got a much better game.
Oh, dude, that was confusing. Don't do that to me. I thought he was like, next week, guys, we'll see you later. We've got this coming up on the show and we'll do this, and this.
No. Next week we have a much better game because we've got Broken Spirit back because we're joined by guests. Now we'd like to politely slip into to round.
I want to suck your dick.
You can go first.
Be honest with you, that was very no. You've thrown me for a loop now. Do you sounded like you were rounding up and you were calling it a day and you was about to tell everyone we'll see you guys next week. I'm just thrown now. I'm thrown. I need a minute to stabilize myself. You're gonna have to go first now.
Don't be an emotional vampire.
Fuck off, Tim Westwood. Do your roundup.
I have sat on that all episode, knowing at some point I was going to upset you.
It's almost like you orchestrate these perfectly. You just know me too well. It's not fair. I feel like I'm just a puppeteer on this show.
No, you're the puppet. I have the hand up you, not the other way around. This is a Robert Eggers movie. It's beautifully shot. He is a master of cinematography, and there's no denying that. The love-driven authenticity of the Dracula story, that is kind of the basis for the novel and the basis for the entire genre. It's a love-driven story. The issues I have with this are not around the performances. I think everyone is great in this. I think Lily Rose Depp is the standout. And I'm going to say it now, she is going to win an Oscar at some point in her career. The problem I have is it's just not entertaining. And that's not because it's a bad movie, because it's a great movie. The problem is I have seen the Dracula story told so many times by so many directors and so many actors that over time, this story and this narrative is so diluted in how impactful it is. And the fact they cut out scenes that I do find impactful and they didn't include them in this added to that. The thing that made it worse is this, for me, is still not the best telling of Dracula. For me, that will be Bram Stoker's Dracula. I think Francis Ford Coppola done a better job of conveying the overall story than Robert Eggers did. Like, it's a great movie, but they didn't change enough to make it, oh, that's interesting. They changed just one element, and they didn't keep enough of the things I love from the book and from, obviously, the 1992 movie to make me go, oh, that's really cool. That's a nod to this. Like, there's so much in here I like, but overall, I was just like, it was a drag. It was a long ass movie to get through, to tell me a story I'd already seen in not a very new or authentic way. And I don't want to be that guy, but it bored the shit out of me. And it's a 2 out of 5, and I'm kind of not even sorry, because they didn't do enough to make it new. They didn't add enough of what I wanted, and they just gave us like a bare bones Dracula story that I've seen fucking 1,000 times before, and I've seen it done better. So yeah, this one wasn't for me. This is the worst Robert Eggers movie I've watched.
Oh, that's going to be surprising considering what my roundup's going to contain of. For me, I said it last week when I rounded up The Witch. I'm a basic bitch. I like slasher movies. I like to know where I'm going. I like to know how the story's going to fulfill. Apart from a few red herrings and a little twist here and there, this story was perfect for me. I knew the story. I knew the lore. I knew the background. There was enough elements here that changed for me to be like, that's cool. I like that introduction, but I still felt involved in the progression of the story enough to know where things were going, barring a few little changes here and there. I felt welcomed into the movie, if you will. I've mentioned my gripes. I think Bill Skarsgård was massively underutilized. I think the creature design was poorly decided. Regardless of Eggers' decisions to be faithful to mythology and to lore, I think this movie showcases more than anything how relevant pop culture is in terms of people's expectations of what things should and shouldn't look like. I didn't want a complete rip-off. I didn't want an exact carbon copy of the original. I just wanted something that was drastically changed enough but still recognizable in my mind that I could be like, yeah, that's cool. That's different enough.
Would you have preferred this if Orlok didn't speak?
No, I wouldn't. I love the inclusion of it. I love the inclusion of his vocabulary, his lines. I thought that the added inclusion of his desires was really, really good. I think taking the emotion from that silent movie and conveying them verbally for an audience was done exceptionally well. And that's one of my biggest problems with this film, is I think the elements are so perfect. I think the storytelling's perfect. I think the character introduction is perfect. I think the casting is perfect. I think the direction is perfect. I love this movie. I thought it looked amazing. I think this is, for me, my favorite interpretation of the Dracula story. It's not eccentric. It's not unrelatable. Like we spoke when we covered Francis Ford Coppola's Dracula last year, and we said about those elements at the end, that the Ring of Fire and the inclusion of Van Helsing on such a Marvel level stupidity that kind of annoyed me. That this one felt more grounded and more digestible to me in a way that I could walk away from it and feel like such an isolated story and a contained end and a beginning got where it needed to get to. I'm just disappointed more than anything with the utilization of Bill Skarsgård as an actor, and the decision to so heavily bury him in prosthetics. And I don't think it's necessarily the level of prosthetics it was under. I think it's just more the relatable nature of the character design in it. I think if I'd have watched a retake of this movie and they'd have given me, as I mentioned earlier, the Photoshop thing that we'd got 6 months ago, I think this movie would have been far more superior than it is. And that's really, really disappointing. I think it's the best Eggers movie he's done. I think he's really excelled himself. I think he's really, really excelled himself in terms of his visionary abilities to be able to display something. And I don't know whether that comes down to his independence as a film director or his influence from the movie he's basing his story on. You know, like he's taking a lot of elements, especially the standout elements to me, like the Bella Lugosi's Dracula scene where he's coming down to the castle, the inclusion of the color palette used from the original Nosferatu. There's things like that that I'm seeing throughout this movie that I'm like, wow, dude, you are like another level director, you know. But like these are things that he's not done off his own back. These are things that he's done paying homage to stuff that's already done prior. And the elements where he should have excelled and he should have showcased what he could do and what his abilities are were underwhelming, such as the shadows of Orlok and all the rest of it. I think he made some poor decisions, but I think the grounded A to B elements of the story excel what we've seen before it. I think it's just a prime example of your creative abilities and your need to appease audiences needs to find that perfect balance, and he's just gone too deep into his own vision and lost focus on what other people are wanting from the movie, and he's done what he wanted to do, which I think I always applaud. I always encourage. I think directors should do that, and they should follow their vision. If they've got a vision for a movie and producers interfere and say, no, you can't do this, you can't do that, I think that's bullshit. I think as an artist, fulfill your fantasies, you know, make what you envision, and if we like it, we like it. If we don't, we don't, you know. But as a critic sitting here on a podcast talking about what I like and what I don't like, I think there was more missteps here than there needed to be. And the hardest thing about it is that as a director, Robert Eggers has showcased already. It's not like he's coming into his steps now and we're like, oh, look what he's done with Nosferatu. This is incredible. This guy's really coming into his own. He's not. We've already seen how he's come into his own. We've already seen how talented this guy is. So what we've seen in Nosferatu isn't spellbinding to me. It's sort of what I expected from a director like Robert Eggers. I was like, yeah, if any man can do this job, if anybody is going to direct a remake of Nosferatu, it's Robert Eggers. He is the guy to fulfill this vision. He's just gone a little bit too far away from what I think he should have done. And there's people out there who love it. There is people out there who love it, and they are right to love it. Do you know, like it does deserve it. It does deserve the respect and recognition it's getting. But for me, I have issues with it. But again, I still think it's the best thing he's put out. I think it's better than The Lighthouse. I think it's better than The Witch. For me, it's a 4.5 out of 5. And I think the issues that I do have with it could quite easily be eradicated with Photoshop. Director's cut. If it really needed to go down that route, is what I'm saying. Like if somebody had made a director's cut where they'd interjected a personalized version of Bill Skarsgård throughout, I would be like, yeah, man, that's fucking shit. This is the most perfect movie and the most perfect iteration of Dracula I've ever seen, and it would get that respect from me. But as it stands, I think it underwhelms slightly, but not underwhelms enough for me to score it less than 4.5 out of 5. It's perfect. I think it's the best version of the story to date. And yeah, so I'm going to round it up.
You're saying it's great, but you want a fan edit.
I do and I don't. I don't want to fan edit it. I don't want to. I just like something like the creature design is such a simplistic element that can be so easily avoided.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? When everything else is so flawlessly done around it, something like a look of something, it's like if you watch the Scream movie, and I'm bringing this back down to the basic of basic levels because I'm a slasher guy, I'm doing it for my purposes. If you watch the Scream movie, and a Scream movie was the most perfect slasher you've ever seen, the best final girl you've ever seen, the most perfect kills you've ever seen, but you didn't like the mask, would you really hate on the movie that much? You know what I mean?
No.
And like if you could go in post and change the mask, that's kind of what my biggest bugbear is with this movie. And I don't think necessarily that the creature design is bad, but I think given the pop culture representation of Count Orlok, as we've all come to know, seeing something so vastly different and so far removed from what the vampire lore is, it's just a bitter pill to swallow with something that's surrounded by perfectness.
Yeah. The thing is, this is a perfect example of you and me have agreed all the way through the episode on almost every single point. And this is a perfect example of showcasing that film is very subjective. So we've agreed on every single point. And when we've got to the end, our scores are miles apart. Even though we have the same thoughts on the movie, the enjoyment we got out of it is so different. And that's the joy of doing this. Also, this week on our story, if you're listening to this on day of release, will be the first day where you will see our leaderboard for the first 3 movies we covered this year and where they sit. So, yeah, that's something to check out. Now, finally, we get to say goodbye to Robert Eggers, who has driven me mad for the last month. And we finally get to go into a non-Eggers movie for the final week of Art House Horror. And we are covering a movie that I've only watched recently, and I have so much to say, and that is Heretic with Hugh Grant.
Never seen it. Looking forward to next week.
Yeah, you're either going to love it or you're going to hate it. It's one of those movies. It is what it is. We're also joined by the Crusty Boys, who are better known as Ryan, Greg, and Seamus from the You Gonna Eat That Crust podcast. They are members of the You Run Podcast Network. It is going to be a wild affair next week. This will be the most people we've ever had on a show at one time. Never had 5 before.
Dude, I'm excited for it. It's going to be a great episode. I love you all. I'm going to piss my dick off, mate, if you do not round this up anytime soon. Dude, mate, I'm sat here shaking like a crack addict, mate. People are watching this on YouTube thinking, what is wrong with Mark? I need to go to the toilet really, really badly, so please sign off.
Okay, well, have a wonderful week, and until then, don't let an old booty call fuck you to death. See you later.
Cheers, guys. See you next week.
You want to die tonight?
Jokes and tell sets the scene. I hang on every word lost in the screen. Your passion for fear is contagious enough. You make me believe in Marc's overblown roundups. You run podcasts or a movie review, unveiling facts and playing games too. Your words paint pictures of darkness and dread, leaving me grinning long after I fled. You run podcasts or a movie review, unveiling facts and playing games too. Your words paint pictures of darkness and dread, leaving me grinning long after I fled. Thank you for taking us on this chilling ride, when nightmares roll free and comedy collide. With your podcast we laugh and cringe, but your content is so good we can't help but binge. You run podcasts.
Blah blah vampire emergency blah.